Hi.
All right, we're good now. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to T-Bird Live. I'm your host, Trina Bird, and we are here tonight talking to a beautiful person with a great business. I tell you, we as you all know, we do a pre-meeting of the show to learn more about the business so I can ask some really great questions that are meaningful to our listening audience. And I was in total shock to find out how this industry works. And it's amazing that not only did I learn a lot about the trucking industry, but also that there's a valuable business in the middle of all of that. And so I'm so glad that Osha's here to talk to us about her business and also to give us some tips on how she got started and any lessons learned that she can share with our listening audience. And so I'm so glad that Osha's here. There's that technology again, but we're gonna push through. So welcome, Osha. How are you tonight? Looking wonderful.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Tell us a little bit about your business. Like first of all, you look like you're about 15, 20 years old. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Tell us a little bit about your business.
So now, mind you, we're dealing with this technology now. Can you hear me?
Kind of echo, but go ahead. So tell us how long you've been in business. You look like you're about 15, 20 years old. So please don't say you've been in business for 15, 20 years.
No, definitely not. I wish I was 15 to 20 years old.
You and me both.
But definitely not.
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hear you really good. Go ahead. Tell us about your business.
So, my name is Osha, and I am a freight dispatcher, and the name of my business is Pops Transporting. So what I do is, we also have a trucking company as well. So what I do is I dispatch for truck drivers.
And that is a lucrative, what would I call it? Like a subcontractor business, or it's really like a full blown where you have office space and 10 or 15 dispatchers. How's that work? Or is it virtual or remote work? How does this all work? And also, before you answer that, tell me about your name, Pops Transporting Logistics. Tell me what those three words mean in your name of your business. And then we'll talk
Transporting. So how the name came about is my husband said that he wants to start a trucking company totally out of the blue. And his father passed, and he wanted to do something to remember his father. So that's how he came up with the name of Pops Transporting. And so I said, okay, well, I didn't want to take away from that. So when we went to dispatch for other people, that's how we got to Pops Transporting Logistics.
Okay, so logistics is okay. I guess that's transporting from one location to another, all the logistics in between to make it happen.
Yes, exactly.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So tell us about your average day. What's a day look like for you? Like from beginning to end. So you get up what time and you get started. Give us the outlook on how that day goes.
Oh Lord, it can be extremely hectic. So my day usually starts around 7 a.m. And what I have to do is when I get up, I get my day started. I reach out to my carriers to do check calls. So we want to do some check calls, make sure everything went through smoothly. make sure they didn't have any issues or anything that happened with their loads the night, before, because they're delivering all hours of the night. Once we do our check calls, the phones will eventually start ringing off the hook. And then that's when we, start talking with the brokers to get these loads booked so we can keep their trucks rolling. So we find the loads and the freight for them to haul to keep their wheels on their truck rolling.
So the vendors who have the product call you for the drivers and does it go both ways? The drivers call you looking for loads.
So it's a little different. So sometimes people get dispatchers and brokers kind of mixed up. So what the brokers do is they have the freight with the shippers. They have that direct contract with the shippers, like Walmart or Costco, or just anywhere, your regular fast food place. They get those contracts with the shippers. And so what they do is they post what they, whatever contract they've had. I'm going to just use Walmart. Everybody knows Walmart. Mm-hmm. So Walmart said, hey, I have some kitchen tables that need to be moved. So they'll get with the broker and say, hey, help me get this moved. So they'll go to the load board. And what the dispatcher does, the dispatcher will go to the load board and try to match that freight up with the carriers. Because you have truck drivers, they don't want to be bothered with a load board or filling out paperwork and stuff like that. So that's where your dispatcher come into play. And we're like an assistant, administrative assistant for your truck drivers. We handle all of that.
Okay. And so when you said that you initially get started with the, making sure every truck has reached their destination or they have no problems, is there like a proprietary software system when they do have problems, like you go into a software program and kind of document, or how do you handle situations when there actually is a problem?
So they'll reach out to me. So they'll call me and say, hey, Osha, that I got to the shipper. They said they didn't have the freight ready. So I'll in turn reach out to the broker and say, hey, my driver's on site. He said that he's there. They don't have the freight ready, or if they put more on the truck than what we agreed upon, that's an issue. So we reach out to the broker. So we're like the middleman between the brokers and the carriers.
So you just keep everybody informed and the communication doors open.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And do you document situations just from your perspective? So, for example, if there is a breakdown and everybody's notified that needs to be notified, do you document anything internally to
Yes. So I have a system. So if I encounter a situation where we had an issue with the broker, I document everything. I can pull up records from last year, and say, hey, we did this load for you on this specific date. This is the issue that we have. I document everything. And just like brokers can blacklist carriers, dispatchers and carriers do the same thing. They can dispatch brokers because we have a lot of bad brokers in the industry, unfortunately.
And you said the broker is so what did you explain the broker role?
Yeah, so the broker, they basically pay for a surety bond, and they have the authority to move freight. So they have to become a licensed broker in order to do that. And so they're the ones who are getting those direct contracts with the shippers, like Walmart, for an example, to move their freight.
Okay, great. All right, so we definitely got a good summary of how the day goes. And you said the phone starts ringing off the hook, and then you're kind of either solving problems or booking locations and truck pickups and that kind of thing. And
right.
towards the end of the day,
it's like organized chaos.
Okay, yeah. Well, all businesses are to some degree, believe me. So then at the end of the day, how do you guys actually close out the day? Is it and do you have staff that work for you, or are you pretty much handling it on your own?
So I do. I have 3 employees, and they're all trained as dispatchers as well. I have one that focuses on making sure that the carriers get paid appropriately. So that's strictly what she works on. So she handles all of their invoicing and everything. And then I have the other two are dispatchers. So they assist me with booking loads and making sure that our carriers have everything that they need to keep their wheels on their truck rolling.
Oh, okay. So, and then you said your husband is actually a truck driver, or does he just manage them now that you built a
He
business?
drives as well. He has a hot shot. He does hot shot. And then we also have our semi truck.
Okay, so you it's like one stop shopping,
Yes, one
so to
stop
speak.
shop.
Yeah, one stop shop. That's great. And so, you've actually made it sound easy. And people tell me that all the time. You make things sound so easy. But you and I both know that easy is filled with all kinds of daily operational, uh, I won't call them triumphs, but challenges. That's the word I'm looking
Right,
for. So challenges, and I mean it's all worth it. I mean, if you're going to have to deal with daily craziness, you want to do it for your own brand, your own name, and
right,
your legacy for your children to hopefully one day. Which I don't know today. These kids they don't want to be. I know when I grew up, growing up in a business environment, that's all I wanted to do when I grew, when I got older. But today, these kids they want to do something totally different than what their parents did, and then they
yeah,
get in their 30s and their 40s and they realize, wow, I should have followed that track with my parents. We'd all be billionaires by now. But of course,
right,
you can't tell your kids anything. They got to learn it on their own, just like we
right,
had to. But we had a different perspective growing up. And I'm assuming
right.
I know you're not my age, um, but at any rate, in building your brand, and did we all know that it didn't just fall off the back of one of them dump trucks and then you just picked it up and set it on your desk and it just blossomed. Tell us some of the pitfalls that you may have run into in getting started and how
Oh,
you
we run
learned
into a
from
lot
it.
of stumbling blocks, a lot of stumbling blocks. When you're first getting started, you knew. So you have a lot of carriers who are not ready to take that risk of working with but all it takes is one carrier to give you a chance. And truck drivers, it's like what you call it, like a fraternity. So they
Mm-hmm.
all talk. So it takes that one truck driver to say, hey, you know what? This is my dispatcher. She's been doing really good. Reach out to her. And that's how my business have been able to grow. I have referrals. I have people who say, hey, I ran into this guy at a truck stop and he said that, you gave him his car. He sounded really good. Can you tell me about your services, what you offer? That's and it took time for that. I'm gonna say it took me probably about 90 days. 90
Oh,
days to really get up enough carriers where I can see the revenue coming in. So definitely getting started. And then the other thing is, if it's something that's new, which that was something for me. I was new to the industry. My background was in healthcare, having to self teach myself everything. You have people who teach freight dispatching courses, but for them, it's just, oh, okay, I'm just trying to make, a quick dollar here. Literally, they'll send you something to say, okay, hey, this is A, B, and ABC, make it work, figure it out. And that's not how it should be. So you spend all this money trying to learn something that's totally new, trying to figure it out. That was definitely a challenge. So for people who are wanting to get into dispatching or to trucking, I always say do your research. And I'm always available, to assist if they ever need help, but definitely do your research because you'll run into a lot of people. Of course, everybody wants to make money, and I get it. Everybody have bills to pay, but for them, it's just about this quick dollar. And what are you getting from that? You're still lost and trying to figure out, well, once I get my carrier, what's the next step do I take? So it's a lot of challenges, but as long as they're able to find somebody with experience, a great mentor, you'll do good in this business.
good, good. And I mean, obviously it's a profitable business to be in. And in today's climate, we've been hearing a number of issues in terms of the truckers. And I get what they're saying. They're like, well, we're in the truck. We don't really, we're not directly in contact with people. Many of them don't want to go get this COVID this and COVID that and all these different boosters and all this other stuff. I kind of get that. But at the same rate, the economy is starting to go berserk and they're blaming it on the truckers. And I kind of, I don't believe what they tell me in the news. I know it's always some other underlining issue. But you being in that business, are you actually seeing a decline, or is there just a lot of hype associated with this pandemic and the reality of, what they're telling us? In your opinion, how true is that?
So what I don't like is the fact that people feel comfortable blaming things on the truckers without actually knowing exactly what they go through daily. You have, and let me be the first to say I'm definitely not bashing brokers. I aim to be a broker one day, but you have some brokers out here who will say, okay, well, you're supposed to be here at such and such time, and the driver get there. It may not be ready to go. They have to sit there for hours, and they're supposed to get paid detention for sitting there. They're not receiving that or anything. I don't feel like they appreciate everything that drivers do in this industry to keep America running, because they truly do. If you take a look around of everything that's in your household, it came there on a truck. Mm-hmm. So, you have people who are quick to say, oh, well, you're not, and don't get me wrong, some drivers, and I've seen it, some drivers do, they do make some mistakes. Some things are simply their fault, but it's not all. We have to think about the fact that they're away from their families. A lot of times, my dad, growing up, he was always on the road, trying to provide our family. So they're away from their family. They stuck in this truck, driving, just looking at the road for hours, so it's like people don't appreciate that enough. So I definitely don't blame the drivers for that. I feel like they're doing the best that they can to keep shipments moving. And people also say that we have a shortage of drivers. I don't have data to prove that, but I do like the fact that, they need to start offering stuff like that to high school students. Hey, look at being a truck driver as a career point. We teach kids that you need to be the doctors and the lawyers, but transportation industry is a very lucrative business to be in.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I know in New Jersey, when I first started my business, across the street was a CDL school. And so oftentimes the big trucks would pull up across the street and park, and they were all out for their practice run or their demo run or whatever it was. And it was their school was just as busy as our school. And we were a computer school back 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, actually. That's who they recruited. They recruited high school students, who didn't want to go to college, and the draw to take the training and go into that industry was the pay that you would get and the freedom of being out on the road and being away from whatever kind of negativity was going on, that could happen if you graduate high school and now you're on the street, you don't really have a good job, all kind of negative things can enter into your world. But if you're in that truck behind the wheel, making really good money and traveling across the country, in some cases, it's a great opportunity for a young person. I would just say, plan your future, and that's any job, because today's climate, longevity is not from a job seeker's perspective. Longevity is just not something, when I graduated college, it was like, okay, and you won't believe this, but get a job, make $10,000 a year, and have it be a steady job in your career that you went to, your career field that you went to college for, and you'll be set for life. And that was the norm. But now, these younger people, they're like 10 weeks here, 10 months there, and they move on till they find a good fit. And they also gain experience through other industries to wherever they plan to go later in life for their actual career. So there's just all kinds of opportunities, but I always stress to people, start your own business. I don't care where you're at in your life, no matter your age, there is always a side gig that you could do to earn extra money, especially with the price of milk almost $5 a gallon. You need
Exactly.
extra everything.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Now, what would be your recommendation to someone that was trying to get into, let's say you're hiring, what qualifications would you look for in a person to be a dispatch and be employed by your company, and what kind of incentives do you have for that person that would make them want to work for your company?
So I look for somebody who's a multitasker. You have to definitely be able to multitask, because you can be working on one carrier, then the phone will ring and the broker is calling you, asking about something else. So you definitely have to be able to multitask, and be able to catch on, be able to catch on. Sometimes people can't catch on to exactly how it works. So somebody who can catch on quickly, somebody that is definitely flexible. Because for my drivers, I'm available to them 24/7. So definitely somebody who is flexible. And as far as the incentives that I offer, they're learning firsthand how to clearly start their own freight dispatching business. And even though that would be a disappointment to see one of my employees leave, it'll make I don't think about that, because it'll make me feel good knowing that they learned firsthand how to have a successful dispatch business.
Yeah, I can relate to that because when I first started my school, um, it was new to the area, obviously, because it was a computer school. The only other school in the area that offered anything similar, they were training them to be computer operators, no PC experience whatsoever. And as when they see you do it, everybody else gets an idea. Well, if she could do that, then other nationalities could do it even better. So then I started to get competition, and a lot of my employees they weren't employees, they were actually subcontractors, because during that particular time, you could hire them for there was contract work. So we got a 4-month contract. We would hire a teacher, another 4-month contract. We hire another teacher, and then they could actually, they actually had their own business where they could work for themselves. And then I also had some people that were just straight up employees. They were, teachers in the morning, in the evening, whatever. And when the new school opened up, that became our competition. She kind of stole everybody. But even before that happened, they they used this as a stepping stone to get where they were going. Most of them wanted to really work at the college, opposed to me being in a private vocational school. They came straight out of college, got their experience with me, and then went on to get jobs in school districts and the college and arena, where of course the salary is more, the benefits are
Yeah.
there, all that. So I definitely could relate to that. And I had the same philosophy as you did. I helped their career get started. We would run summer youth programs for our students, and all those same teachers that left me to go work for the school districts, they call me up. Trina, I need a summer job, and I would hire them
Yeah.
to do the summer program. So it was a revolving door, and it was great because I changed a lot of people's lives, not only with my students but also with the fact that I gave out opportunities, and I always would give opportunity to the person that couldn't get the traditional job. I would specifically look for my graduates from my training program to put them through an additional training program so that we could certify them as a vocational school instructor, which is totally different from being a teacher in a public entity. Um, the qualifications are a lot less in terms of hiring them as a vocational school instructor, and they're instructors, not teachers. Or sometimes we would call, they could be called trainers. So, it was always a great opportunity to see me help someone get to where they're going. So my question to you is, um, if they're trying, first of all, are you virtual? Are they work from their own home, or they're inside your office?
No, so my employees work in my office. So they come into the office daily and we work. So, and I did it like that. So that way, they were learning firsthand too. So they had to learn from scratch. They wasn't familiar with the trucking industry. So I was more comfortable with them coming into the office so that we can all work together just in case they had any questions or anything or concerns or anything. And the way that these phones ring off the hook is probably a good thing that we're all together. So they come to my office and work.
Is it a home based office, or you're in an actual a regular location?
It's a home based office.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
I think that's great. I had a guy, he was my HVAC person, and I had to go down to his office for some type of repair we needed for our building in Jersey. And he took the garage, added on, and I just thought that was such a brilliant idea that, the wife ran the office and he managed the HVAC repairman. And the
Mm-hmm.
repair guys would come in, get their assignments, and she had like 2 or 3 people in the office, and they just did their thing. And at the end of the day, they turned the lights out, walked up a few steps. And at that time, that was a great thing because we didn't have this virtual thing going on. And I
Right.
was like, wow, first my wish was that I would not I would be able to find a building that was near my house. And God granted me that wish. I was like 7 minutes from my house. I could walk to my building. Um and but I drove every day. But at any
Mm-hmm.
rate, that was close. And then I went down there and saw that, and I was like, oh man, I thought I was blessed with having the building really close to my house, and I have to travel with the traffic and all that kind of stuff. I could just come around the corner and I'm there. And
Mm-hmm.
then I go to their location, and they're just coming down the steps and going into the office. And I was like, wow, I wish I could have that. And then the virtual
Right.
thing started coming up, and then another one of my wishes come true. I love virtual. I love all of what it is. That to me is the only good thing that came out of this pandemic, is that people now accept that you could do the same quality work working from home as you can getting up going to an office. I think that is the
Exactly.
best thing that ever happened and through all of this. And I don't think it's going anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I do think that at the end of the day, you get a better worker because there's no excuse as to why they can't get the job done. They don't
Exactly.
have to wait for the laundry man, the electrician to come. They don't have to be
Mm-hmm.
home early for the kids, leave early so they can get the kids off the bus. They don't have to be late
Right.
because they got to put the kids on the bus, or the kid is home sick. You can still get your job done. I think it's just one. I think that any
It
employer
is.
gets a better experience from their employees doing it virtual. And the statistics have shown, and I talked about this in the last show I just did, that pre-pandemic it was about 5% of work from home jobs, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
42%.
Right. Convenience.
So it's growing, and cost savings. People don't want to spend
Yep.
thousands of dollars on a building with electric and people coming in and plugging up their fans and their phones and using all this extra electricity, because that's what's going to happen
Right.
when you're in a building. And then that electric bill is high as I don't know what. They're just
Mm-hmm.
saving money, and companies are just saving money by doing it this way. You may invest in some equipment for that person, but the likelihood of that equipment falling apart is not as great as all the things that can happen on inside the building when things fall apart. So I think it's great. I look forward to the continue. I look forward to it growing to
Right.
a degree that is beneficial to the employee as well as the employer. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, you not only are you able to hire people, but you're able to train them to start their own business. And do you have an official training period, like a 90-day training period that they go through as they, are actually hired by you? And what happens if, they kind of don't catch on? what happens to that person? I know, you can't run a
So we
business.
do have a 90-day training period because again, I don't expect anybody who's never, have no knowledge of this industry to get it overnight. So we do have a 90-day training plan. So I create a training plan for them. We also discuss their progress weekly to let them know how they're doing. Now, I have not experienced any employee who have had an issue with catching on or who I was just like, you know what, I don't know if this is going to work out. I have not experienced that yet. So everything seems to be going good. I think you just have to have a good training plan and don't throw so much at them all at once. Do everything in stages. So show them one thing. Once they get that down pat, add on to it, and keep building them up so that they can be the best that they can.
That's wonderful. Great philosophy. Great philosophy. One of the things you always want to do when you're in business is not put yourself at risk, but
Mm-hmm.
always try your best to keep your people happy. When your employees are happy, the business is happy. The business is
Exactly.
going to grow. The
And
people
they won't
don't
go
want to.
nowhere.
Yeah, they don't. That's exactly what I was going to say. They won't want to leave, and they will work harder for you if you take care of them. And one of the things that
Right.
I prided myself in when I had people physically in the building working for me, and I even do it now with my virtual trainers. And, at the end of the week, we'd have our staff meeting. We'd all go out to a restaurant and the company would pay for everything. And we would, eat, have cocktails, and just relax and have a good time. That was such a great ingredient to end the week and them going into their weekend to relax and spend time with their family. They always
Mm-hmm.
came back on Monday in in a mood to really do the good work with whatever their task was, their job was. And
Right.
people always question me, why do you do that? And my question back to them was, why not? They're
Right.
making you money. They're making
Mm-hmm.
you money. And when they're making good money and feeling satisfied as an employee, they will continue to make you money. So you invest in, it's an investment. It's just like buying stock. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, you don't want them to leave. And some of them will leave. Like when that other lady opened up, she recruited them all. They went to work for her. And I would say within 90 days, they all had left
Mm-hmm.
her because of the way she was new at business. She didn't know what she was doing. And,
Mm-hmm.
the salaries that she promised them, they didn't get. They wouldn't get paid on time. It was a mess. And,
Yeah.
I would have a nightmare if I didn't have payroll ready.
Right.
I'd be in a nightmare mode if I didn't have payroll.
Exactly.
Just you just got to make sure that your people are paid. You pay them before you pay yourself. I would pay
Right.
them before I paid the mortgage because the mortgage takes about 9 months for you to get going. You know, and by that
Exactly.
time you can figure it out. But yeah,
Right.
you got to have some value when you have people dependent on you. You just
Exactly.
and if you show them value, they'll show you value in what performance that they give you. And do you do evaluations like
Right.
after like a year and all that and raises and that kind of stuff?
So we do raises. We have not did evaluations. Only because you're honestly being evaluated every week. Your carriers are going to be very vocal, so they will gladly speak up and say, you know what, I don't like how such and such is dispatching my truck, or such and such did a good job this week. I like how things are going. So to me, that's the evaluation. If the carriers are happy, then that means you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing correctly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have been a SCORE counselor. You ever heard of SCORE? Retired
No.
record there. It's called retired executives that actually mentor people in business. I was a chapter chair for about 10, 12 years. I no longer do it because I moved from New Jersey to Maryland. Um, but my point being is I'm going to go into that SCORE mode or mentor mode. Try to implement a evaluation process, and it doesn't have to be 6 months. It should be an annual,
Uh-huh.
just to cover yourself as an employer,
Okay.
because things could be going really smooth with an employee for years, and then that one instance can turn everything around, and you got no way of, if they accuse you of terrible conditions working, blah, 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 it's your word against them. If you
Right.
evaluate them every year, and it could be a one page, you could Google it, get a sample evaluation form, and just evaluate their performance. You always should, if you're going to give out raises, you make sure you tie an evaluation to that performance, as that, that evaluation form to that raise. But
Right.
do evaluate them, and then have them sign, and also have them do like a little questionnaire on how they feel about working for the company and all that.
Right.
Those kinds of documents cover you in the future if something should go wrong.
Okay, I would definitely do that. Definitely do
Definitely.
that.
Yep. And you you haven't done it in the, how long you guys been in business?
1 year.
Oh, okay. It's perfect time.
One
Perfect
year.
time. Yep.
Yep.
It's the perfect time to do it. I hope they're not back there working and listening to me.
No.
All right.
No.
Good. Yeah, this is the perfect time, Asha. Put yourself together, an evaluation process, and interview them exclusively, away from each other. Have them sign off on it, and then also have like a questionnaire that they fill out about how they feel about the company. Specific questions, questions
Mhm.
that that if you were to be going into litigation for any reason,
Mhm.
well, this is what they signed. This is how they felt a year in. This is what they
Right.
said. So make those questions be relevant questions, not a popularity contest where, oh, I love Osha, or I love your husband, or I like the atmosphere. Make
Right.
those questions relevant so that you can put them in your arsenal. And I'm so glad we talked about that. And it's at the time of it's a year, and
Mhm.
most people get evaluated in a year. And
Mhm.
great, everybody's doing good, they got a good evaluation, but you want to hear from them as well to cover yourself in case anything happens next year, next month, whatever.
Right. Right.
All right. Very good. Any closing comments you want to make? I think this was a great interview. You did really well. And the fact that my questions, you didn't have my questions ahead of time, and I
No.
always do that purposely so that people can come over, can display themselves authentically, and
Right.
come forth with what they know, and how they are trying to help someone else, with just a natural response, which most of the time is the truth.
Right.
So
Well, I guess I would say, again, the transportation industry is a lucrative business to be in. I'm very passionate about the transportation industry. So, anybody who's listening, if you're interested in coming over, I would gladly be able to assist you. I also teach freight dispatching courses. So, you're able to reach out to sign up for some of those classes as well. And we are here. We're here to help. This is $1 billion industry, so it's no point in trying to keep secrets and stuff about stuff. It's enough money out here for everybody in this industry.
that's good, because some people like to learn things and they act like they can take it with them. Matter of fact, I'll
Yeah.
tell you a quick funny story. I was on some type of call a couple days ago, and this guy was telling us that this man, he was a billionaire, and he had them bury him in his casket. He had them put his money in it, and they
What?
buried him with the money and all his jewelry and something
What?
crazy. I was like, this dude is crazy. He probably get somewhere, and it's a ball of fire. Everything burns up.
I'm like, what are you gonna do with it? You can't
Yeah,
use
what?
it
I don't
now.
know. I feel that same way about knowledge. You do not want to take it with you. Share it with as many people as you possibly can, because that's what it's all about. If God has
Right.
blessed you with the knowledge and the experience, your job is to bless somebody else, as many people as you can. And
Right.
that's why I do our business broadcast, to give exposure, and to really just let people know what kind of business is out there and how you can do this yourself.
Right.
It doesn't take a rocket science to go into business. I mean, even
Right.
Jeff Bezos failed at business like 3 or 4 times before he became Amazon trillionaire.
Exactly.
Everybody starts somewhere. So,
Exactly.
inspiration is very good for everybody. And to tell your story is very cathartic for not only yourself, because sometimes you go and you look back and you're like, wow, I did do all this.
Yeah.
When you're in the moment, you don't really, you're not measuring things. You're just trying to get things accomplished. But then when you tell
Right.
your story in a format like this, it's like, wow, we really have, we got people working for us. We got a couple of different divisions of our company.
Right.
And we're really doing this successfully. And we're hoping to not only help the people that work for us, but you're in the trucking industry, which helps people nationwide. So your reach
Exactly.
is very far. So
Never would have imagined
acknowledging that
this.
is important.
Yeah, never in a million years would have ever imagined this at all. Never would have imagined this.
Do you miss the health industry? You said you were in the health industry before.
Yes, I worked in healthcare. I was in corporate healthcare. Do I miss it? No,
Mm-hmm.
definitely not. You know, it's something that I have a lot of experience in. My goal was to, we're taught to go to college, get these degrees so you can get these good jobs and stuff like that. And, the things that I accomplished in healthcare, I was very proud of. Even then I helped people. But, my husband pushing me to take that chance, totally leave my career and do something. And I never in a million years would have thought that I would be here, discussing it and discussing the successes, as well as some of the stumbling blocks that I've encountered. But I'm proud. I'm proud of everything that has ever happened. Proud of everything. And I'm glad to look back and say, wow, it was something that we wrote in a little notebook. This is our goal. This is what we want to do. And got to a point where we have employees working for us. We're our own bosses.
And that's so valuable. And valuable to you have children?
Yes. My daughter actually will be 21 on Friday.
Oh wow. Congratulations. So imagine the brand, imagine where she's gonna go. And they don't
Well, so
always
look.
follow in that industry, but they are successful. My son grew up his whole entire life, with our business. We had a
Uh-huh.
couple of businesses, and he kind of wanted to get so far away from computer technology in terms of what training people.
Uh-huh.
But he now has a 6-digit figure working for Amazon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now my daughter, she was helping me with dispatch, but she was like, "This is just not me. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do it." So right now she's not really feeling it, but I think as she, get older and see the value of having your own, I think she'll come back
Yeah,
around.
they'll come back. They'll come back. My son came back. Mom, I wish I would have listened to you and followed into this, because I tried to get him to do all the certifications at that time. And any, because they were actually, he went to Norfolk State University and they were offering certifications and everything. All you had to do,
Uh-huh.
and it was free to take the test and all that. And he's like, no, I don't want to go on that, because that was along the lines of what we did. And he
Hmm.
had said 100 times he wished he would have listened, and he wished he would have, followed the track that we were on. But I mean, it works itself out, because you just never know where your kid's going to go and what they're going to do. And one thing you can be 100% sure of, everything that they saw you do, they're going to try to do it better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what would make me proud.
Yep. And they got to find their own way. So, you know, you definitely want to encourage them to find out who they are, just like you wanted to find out who you were when you were that age. So,
Hmm.
but I enjoyed this interview, and it was one other thing I was going to ask you, but of course it just slipped my mind. But I'm definitely happy. Oh, I wanted to ask you, when you saw the post, what made you decide you wanted to do the show? You didn't know me. We've just met, actually. What
Yeah.
was it that made you decide, yeah, I want to do this?
Well, so for starters, I hear about podcasts a lot, but I don't really have a lot of knowledge because I don't really listen to podcasts. And so now my dad, he's a trucker. He is always saying, "Hey, I listened to this podcast before, let's check it out." And then as I saw the different businesses responding, I said, you know what? maybe this will help somebody else, get, learn something and say, hey, maybe I should think about dispatching or becoming a truck driver. So I said, okay, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, this was crazy. You see all those posts out there?
Yeah, I did. And that
I
is
could be booked for 2
awesome.
years.
That is awesome.
It is. It is. And I'm having fun. I talked to a lady. Actually, it's so funny, Osha. I thought I was talking to you. She sounds just like you. And she's like, well, I'm supposed to do the show tonight. I said, yeah, well, I sent you, and I'm talking to her. She's like, well, I didn't get a form. Her email was info@2, just like yours.
Oh,
So I go
okay.
online. I'm like, no, I'm looking at it right here. I said, she says, no, I'm looking. And then I'm like, she said something, and I'm like, what?
Wait
Wait
a
a second.
minute.
Who am I talking to? And she's not on until like the end of March. We are booked to April or I mean I think it's almost the beginning of May we're booked to.
Oh, that
And
is awesome.
it is. It certainly is. Be careful what you wish for.
Right.
But she has a credit business. She does credit repair, and it's
Uh-huh.
kind of similar to what you do, where she teaches you how to repair your credit, and also teaches you how to start your own credit repair business.
Mhm.
So it was just I really am enjoying doing this with different people from all. She's in Atlanta. Where are you at? Come and think about it,
I
Asha.
am in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
So see, we talked about that. You're in North Carolina. She's in Atlanta. I got a lady that contacted me from Israel.
Israel. Oh my
Israel.
goodness.
I'm like, what? I didn't even. But hey, we'll see. But it's just been, I don't know, it's just been crazy, and I'm excited about it, and I don't mind donating this space and donating my time, because I it's just exciting to me. So I am so happy and thankful that you joined us. You are the first from that post.
Okay, I was the first.
So
Well, I'm
yes, you were
glad.
the
I'm
first from that
I'm
post.
really looking forward to seeing the other ones. This is really awesome. And
Definitely,
I'm happy for
definitely.
you too. You booked all the way out. That is awesome.
It is. It definitely is. And it was so funny because I got a guy that wanted to. He's like, "Well, can you pay me? Can I pay you to be first? The next show that's coming up." And I'm like, "No, this is not about money. This is
Yeah.
about opportunity, and people being able to talk. Because I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have that in growing my business. I just had to find my own way. And
Right.
if this kind of platform would have been available, it would have been wonderful. And
Right.
not everybody does something always for money. It's sometimes they
Mhm.
just love the experience of doing it. So
Right.
all right, thank you for taking your valuable time to join me. And we will be checking back with our guests doing a follow-up to see how things are going. And we just appreciate you coming on and talking with us and sharing your story.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciated this. And this was awesome. And I look forward to seeing your other episodes with the other business owners. I look forward to that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You have a good rest of your evening, and good luck with the business and your family and your employees and all of it. Blessings to
Thank
you.
you so much. You have a good night as well.
You too.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye bye.
All right, there we have it, guys. That was a great interview with Osha Wilson. The name of her company is Pops Transporting Logistics, and she told her story, which I thought was a very interesting story. She took a leap of faith in leaving her full-time day job to start a business with her husband. How wonderful is that? And I have to tell you, just being in business in today's climate or any climate is it's an awesome feeling. And those of you who are thinking about it, contemplating it, just go and get it done. It's just I can't tell you how powerful it is to actually have your own business and not only own it, but to also have it be a profitable business where you are actually, help providing a service. You're also providing an opportunity for people that you are servicing to your clients, your customers, all of that. So, we're going to be featuring every week a different business from around the country, around the world, like I said, because we do have somebody from Israel. And I'm just looking forward to it. I'm just looking very forward to sharing their stories with you guys. And please follow us on Facebook at T-Bird Center, where you'll be able to not only see the future shows that are coming, but any previous shows that we've done as well. We've got a lot of good informational training types of shows on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. And we just look forward to bringing you more valuable content and more success stories to encourage you to start your own thing as well. So without further ado, we will see you next week, and thank you for tuning in.